Hello there. This is going to be a bit of a off the top of my head video, really. Um, but just wanted to put a few things down, really. Um, I remember I did a interview with an old friend of mine who is a Cottonarian witch a while ago, and in that interview, I said that I had really viewed witchcraft as a religion of love, and really for me the religion of love in a way. I think that comes in a lot of ways from the time that I discovered witchcraft and the kind of witchcraft I discovered. It was the 1970s. I was a teenager and I discovered it very much through the work of Alex and Maxine Sanders. So it was, what came to be generally known as Wicca, though at the time we seemed just simply call things witchcraft. But that remains a really, really important thing for me. It is what witchcraft is for me, essentially. It is the religion of love. And love has always been the thing which has been central to my concerns in life, really. It always has been. It's been at the core of things. And to understand that love it includes things like sexual love and the things that we have there, but it goes beyond that. Yeah. And it is a very, very profound thing. Love exists because of itself, essentially. Love is its purpose and its reason. It is its purpose and reason. And so it comes very close to our most profound sense of values. It's one of the ways of seeing those things, of course. There are other ways, but that's my way. So that was certainly one thing. I think that would be why devotion has always been so important for me in terms of religion. And the other thing that really comes home to me recently is I've always essentially been interested in mysticism. It's always essentially been mysticism. It's just that my mysticism is magical. My mysticism also has a sexual element to it, in that it takes in sexuality. I believe it's very important. Maybe that partly comes from being born in a time when Neptune was in Scorpio. I don't know, but it's those are really important things for me. And the God that was, I suppose, in a way, my first flowering of love for the sacred really was the god Pan, and has remained so, really. He is still the heart and center of so much for me, and goes beyond so many things that you could even talk about or say of him, really. So that was just one thing I wanted to say about love and devotion and about Pan. Because Pan always comes back to me. And just only yesterday we were watching something, and it was a little documentary or news thing from about 1964 about a case of black magic in Norfolk, and the man talking about stuff that was happening. It was so nice listening to him, because I recognized in what he was saying very much the sort of view of paganism that I grew up with, in terms of being a teenager, in terms of being an adolescent, or that sort of time in the 70s, like from the age of 10, 11 onwards. And he talked about witchcraft being the remnants of the old pre-Christian religion, which, of course, that's contested in many ways, but it's what we truly believed and felt come through to us. And at one point, he talked about the flower-crowned religion of Pan. And I thought that was such a beautiful phrase, and it perfectly matches what I felt as a teenager, so it's really lovely to have that kind of naive and innocent formulation, which I believe actually has reality to it, however. Reality is poetic, and I think we need to remember that. Second thing I wanted to talk about was something that came up. I think it was Alan Moore, because a friend of mine shared a video about this, about Alan Moore talking about magic. And he was talking about magic and imagination, and imagination is another thing which I think is tremendously important, and creativity, and it's one of the reasons why Austin Osman Spare was such a inspiration for me. And what he was saying was really interesting, and he was saying our imagination is almost like our, if we explore it properly, that's almost like our little our house, our room, and maybe our back garden a bit, and then there's a world beyond that, which he considers to be more collective, and I thought this was all really interesting. Again, I certainly think that, yes, imagination and creativity is tremendously important. And our inner world, our inner life is important. But I wanted to actually say here that little inner world, that inner world that we have, which is especially ours, is actually very precious and is not to be trampled on by other people. Even people who consider themselves to know so much more about the world beyond. That very personal, private, precious world of the imagination and the inner is so important to people. And yes, there is a connection to beyond. Of course there is. There are ways through to the beyond. But always remember that your private world has a sacredness to it and is not there to be trampled on by anybody. There are all sorts of questions that arise because of this, because of course you will find that people have mapped the world beyond, and that's beautiful and wonderful. But always remember, though, these are human beings with imagination doing the mapping, yes. And even if we hear or see those who are beyond us in that world, we still hear through our inner senses. And we have to be aware of that. And there are lots of interesting ideas about this, like, for instance, some people will tell you that, the world out there, the world beyond, the world of the astral is like this, X, Y, Z, with this structure, this order, this form. And I would say, just hold on to those things very lightly, because much of that world is beyond form. Form is here. This is where form really is. And so maybe have a little bit of caution about people who are dogmatic about what is beyond. Yeah. Because nobody understands that mystery completely. Nobody here. Yeah. And so this sense of form, be careful of people who wish to impose a form upon your inner life. You will have to find your form. It will not be imposed by anybody, or should not be, because that is really a form of abuse, actually. And of course, there are many interesting things that come from this. And if you look at somebody like Austin Osman Spare, look at Austin Osman Spare's ways of seeing and exploring. What a wonderful freedom there was in his work. What a beautiful, beautiful freedom there was. And that is something which we can have. It's there for anybody who chooses it. If they wish to go and find it, if they wish to dive into their imagination and to follow the great force of desire and see where it leads, in the right ways anyway, to see where it leads in that world of imagination. You can trace out the deepest veins. You can follow the deepest currents if you wish, artistically. Yeah. And is that really a world of structured, predetermined orders? I don't think so. It's a wonderful world. It's a wonderful world of much flux and fruitfulness. But it's a world of immense freedom also. And I think the only last thing I wanted to talk about was the sense of the heart. The heart is still for me our guide. It's still for me the door into the world which contains us, most essentially. It's just that things aren't always as people think they are, preconceive them. And we have this wonderful combination of the spiritual and the corporal, and the corporeal and the desirous and the liberated, and all these different things that we have in us. But the heart is our truest organ of perception and our truest means of relationship. And so for me, it is really, in so many ways, the most important thing. And that is probably why I still see witchcraft as the religion of love.